Good evening and welcome to the July 25th Town Council meeting. If you kindly rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you're here for our item on appointments, we won't be having that discussion this evening. The chairman was unable to make the meeting. No, it was their annual meeting,
Oh, the zoning board adjustments, not the appointment. Sorry, Mr. Chair, I thought you were talking about the appointment for the library trustee. When you said appointment.
No, I'm sorry, the first agenda item of appointments.
Zoning board.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as announcements, I have only our upcoming meetings. Thursday, August 15th, Thursday, September 12th, and Thursday, September 26th, all at 7 p.m., all regular meetings here in the Matthew Thornton Room. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Come and join the town of Merrimack on Tuesday, August 6th at Abbey Griffin Park from 5 to 7 p.m. for National Night Out with the Merrimack Police Department. This is the annual block party, promotes police community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie to make all our neighborhoods safer, more caring places to live. There'll be free food, music, demonstrations, along with more than 30 businesses and community organizations who will be providing free games, crafts, and other activities. For more information, please visit the Parks and Rec Department at www.merrimackparksnrec.org. Once again, that's merrimackparksnrec.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Next, comments from the press and public. If you'd like to address the council, you can step to the table or the mic over here. And seeing no one coming forward, we have no recognitions, resignations, or retirements, and our first agenda item, as I had said, has been postponed. So the first we'll be dealing with this evening is the council to hold a public hearing to authorize the acceptance of a donation of 3 40-foot shipping containers and 2 20-foot shipping containers with an estimated value of $8,500 from St. Gobain Performance Plastics to the town of Merrimack, pursuant to RSA 31:95E and Charter Article 8, Section 15. And Paul, did you want to speak
Yes.
to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So about 3 weeks ago now, maybe 4, the police chief and the fire chief and myself was touring the St. Gobain facility. As people know, they're getting ready to close their doors. And we were just making sure that the building, so the fire department could look into the building and see what's there. And the police department to make sure that they are securing the building properly. As we were walking through the building, we asked them to do a couple of things to make it safer for our fire department and our police department. As well as we turned the corner around the back of the building and we saw these shipping containers. And basically said, "What are you doing with those shipping containers?" And the gentleman, Matt Reed, came up and said, "Do you want them?" And I said, "What was in them?" Before we say, "Do you want them?" And he said there was no chemical stored in those shipping containers. Those were used for parts, their radons, things of that sort. So there was no chemicals stored in there, he told me. And then he said we mitigated the rest of them because they were actually getting ready to turn them back into the vendor, but decided that if we wanted them as a donation, we'd take them. So talking to the police and fire department, we thought that it might be a good idea to get some of these, the 2 40-foot containers, 2 of the 3 40-foot containers. The police department would really like to use over at the firing range on the MVD property. They have 1 container right now that's rusty and falling apart, a shed. So they would replace that with this 1 40-foot container for their targets and things of that sort. And then the other one they would use as like an indoor range. The other 3 containers, don't know if you remember about maybe last budget season, the fire chief came in and wanted to do a fire ground and was talking about buying some containers to do fire ground training with. So those other containers would be used to set up a training scenario for the fire department where they could put furniture in there and they could throw smoke bombs in there and get some of the new firefighters used to crawling through the facility and dealing with what it might simulate a fire, going into a building with a fire. So that was our other idea with those other three containers, the two 20-footers and the one 40-footer container.
Do you need
Um,
Did you pull the handle?
Go ahead. Keep talking.
So,
Nothing to see here.
so that is where we're going with the 5 containers. We went online and did an estimated value of containers of what they would be. It will cost us about $1,700 to move the containers to our 2 locations that we'll be moving to them. 3 containers for the time being will go over to the highway garage until we can find a spot with the fire department where they might be able to set up this training facility grounds. And then the 2 will, as I said, will go over to near MVD's property.
Anybody have any questions? Tom?
$1,700 to move them?
Yeah, they're $300 they're like $350 a piece to move them. That's the going rate to get a hauler in there to move them.
And you're going to store them at the
Highway garage.
highway garage?
Yeah, 80, but we have enough property at 80 Turkey Hill Road to store the 3 of them for the time being until we can figure out what's going on. Probably in the back section of them.
And where are the others going?
The others are the 2 40-footers are actually going to the warehouse where the firing range is currently. Over on Continental Boulevard.
Oh,
Over off of Continental Boulevard by the MVD warehouse.
Oh, okay.
And Highway has gone over there and actually cleaned up the area and smoothed it out, so those trailers are ready to get dropped in to place to where they want them.
Okay.
And they've been mitigated, so they've been cleaned up.
Nancy?
I'm grateful for the offer of a donation. I just, given the history, has DES told us that those have been properly mitigated? Who said they're mitigated? Was it St. Cobain?
St. Cobain has said they've been mitigated, yes.
Okay.
DES has, I'll just leave it at that. We have not been, DES has not been communicating with us about their cleanup efforts over there.
Okay. Which leads me to my point. One of the bills I wrote, HB 1415, is a PFAS facility liability bill, and it's sitting on the governor's desk right now. It passed the House, and it passed the Senate. Consent, voice votes, it's very well supported. I understand that the BIA is working very hard to have the governor veto it. And what that bill will do, will hold PFAS polluters, facilities that are found to have contaminated groundwater of 100 parts per trillion or more, which St. Cobain has, liable for federal cleanup standards for everything before they can leave a site. And the timing is very interesting because we know that St. Cobain is planning to leave. And the cleanup is just as important for protection as for mediating water and those kinds of things. So I'm glad to hear that that's a great donation, but I really would like to feel comfortable that those trailers or whatever they are, whether they've stored chemicals or not, that there is really a some kind of assurance by somebody other than St. Cobain that when we take them from that site and then we bring them to other places, I think we just have to be really cautious about that. So thank you for the donation, but let's just make sure that what we're moving really is not going to, have any kind of impact on, new places. They may be fine, and that would be wonderful. But just historically, we haven't had a lot of compliance. We haven't had a lot of, there's been a lot of questions about things that we were told that did not turn out to be as we were told. And I, again, I appreciate that offer. I think it's a great offer, and I think it's something that we certainly could use. But I just would feel better if somebody that wasn't St. Cobain assured us that that they had been remediated or cleaned or that they were not used for storage of things, not just St. Cobain's word.
On the storage part, I know for a fact, I talked to 3 or 4 individuals that used to work at St. Cobain, and one was the manager of the area, and he said we did not use those to store chemicals. They were not in the trailers. He told me that, so, and he has nothing to lose because he doesn't work there anymore. So he told me they didn't store chemicals in those trailers. That's what he said to me, and I trust him.
Any further discussion? Then,
I guess to Nancy's point, how do we do that? Like, I guess what exactly is the ask here?
For me, the ask would be that DES assure us that, you know, I'm part of the PFAS Commission, and we have monthly meetings. We just had one. And Mike Wimsatt updates us monthly on what is happening at St. Cobain and where they are in the transition process. And we've been assured that things are going smoothly, and that, with the exception of testing the wells within the consent decree area, which they're mandated to test, which they're not, they're refusing to test. So the state DES is actually going to do that, and then go back after St. Cobain for the funding resources. But we've been told that, you know, they are cleaning things up. But this bill that I wrote, that's where we're waiting for the governor to sign. I worked with DES and the Attorney General's office on this bill because that's what they said they needed to make sure that all of the things that they've decided need to happen at that whole site, the roofs, the pipes, the ground, all the things beyond just what's happening in the interior of the building. So, I would feel better if DES said yes, you know, that whatever mitigation they've done that's happened, and those trailers are not, we're not spreading contamination by bringing those to different sites within our town.
Do we think we'll ever get an answer from DES to answer that question?
That's exactly.
I mean, if they're not telling us the progress of St. Cobain exiting the site, do we think they're going to respond to the town of Merrimack asking, are these containers clean? I have very little confidence that DES is going to give us the time of day on it.
It's an absolutely appropriate ask of DES. I think we have the right to that information. If they are telling us at these meetings that St. Cobain is doing whatever, and whatever point they're at in this cleanup process, which I think is going to take a little bit of time, I think we have the right to ask that, and we can certainly.
But I'm with Andy. I think they'll say, well, fine, but that's not our responsibility. I
Well,
could just see them abdicating.
but it actually is their responsibility. It is their.
But we can't force them.
No, what I'm saying is, oops.
Sorry.
Oh, Nance.
We can't force them to.
No, but DES, that's their job is to oversee that. We have absolutely, the town, we have no control over that. But what I'm saying is, DES is telling us they are overseeing the remediation, and they will certainly be able to tell us what's happened to the equipment that's sitting on that lot. Has that been remediated, or are they waiting for that to happen? That's a very reasonable ask, I think. And we can't mandate that they do that, but we have the right to the information.
Precisely. Jennifer?
Is there a deadline that we need to commit to it?
I've pushed it off now almost 3 weeks. He's been asking me for the last 3 weeks. So I hate to say that there is a deadline, because the gentleman that's there wants to get out because he has another job. And from what I'm told, he'll be out by the end, within 30 to 40 days of the facility, be done with it. And he's not there every day.
Tom?
So it sounds like they either give it back to the vendor or they give it to us.
Mhm.
And if the ask here is that they certify to some level that they're clean, below 100 ppm of PFAS, which I think is near impossible to get them to certify. And so just having somebody there say, oh yeah, it's clean, doesn't make me feel any more comfortable than their consultant saying it's clean at this point. I mean, I guess if it was the president of St. Cobain, I'd be more nervous because I don't trust them like you. But I don't see a benefit to pushing back on something like this that we've already understood is clean from somebody other than a direct employee of St. Cobain, or maybe a direct employee, but that if they had another company mitigate it, then we have some level of confidence that it was mitigated or cleaned or whatever, probably just swept out. But I'm confident we're not going to get anything from DES beyond a nod and a handshake that says, oh, yeah. You know, I don't think we're going to get anything in writing, because then they could be held liable, and they're not going to do the testing because that would be wicked expensive, and we're not going to do that testing either, I don't imagine, to try and confirm that it doesn't have any PFAS in it. So I guess I'm not convinced we're going to, if that's the requirement, we might as well just pass on it and pay the $8,500 to buy the trailers that we need when we need them. Anyway, that's sort of my thought.
Nancy?
I know it sounds like we've got a very short time frame. Could we, I mean, I'd certainly be happy to reach out to Mike Wimsett and just get a little bit more. I mean, bottom line is DES is responsible for all overseeing the remediation. They've got to be able to, I mean, they can't just let St. Cobain go if they haven't done what they're supposed to do. So either they've done it or they haven't done it. I don't know, I get it, I get that, you know, it's an expense, but I don't know, I'm really leery. I don't have a lot of faith, and I'm just trying to
Well, any
keep some people
information that they
healthy.
have, I agree with you, that's open to the public, everybody should have access to that. It's the timing of it, is it something that you would know the right names to see
Oh.
if they have that information? That would be the
Tomorrow.
quickest and best thing
Yeah.
to do then, I would think. Because they would have that information, if they have it, we have a right to see it.
I mean, literally, a lot of the equipment has already left,
Everything's out of there.
is out. So a legitimate question would be, has all of that equipment been tested prior to dispersal to another site?
Right, right.
If the answer is no, then there's your answer
Right, that's,
regarding the,
exactly, that
It
would be
hasn't
my
been-
question.
and if it
I
has,
there's been a company that bought their, not their coating business, but the radon business. And they moved a lot of that equipment
which would be much more exposed to.
to
Right.
another facility in southern New Hampshire. And I don't believe it's been tested. The equipment was never tested before it left the facility. Because they knew what they were buying. The company that bought it knew what they were buying.
All right,
So, one other thing is if the council, I would have to make some phone calls to cancel some of the stuff because we have a vendor lined up tomorrow to move the trailers. They would like them off-site sooner than later.
ASAP.
So, it's whatever the council would like. If the council doesn't feel comfortable accepting the donation, I understand that, and we'll cancel our vendor. And we'll
Alright,
find
well-
another way.
what I'll do is open the public hearing right now at 7:21. If anybody'd like to address the council on this issue, please feel free to step to the mic. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing at 7:22. What's the pleasure of the council?
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the acceptance of a donation of 3 40-foot shipping containers and 2 20-foot shipping containers with an estimated value of $8,500 from St. Gobain Plastics to the town of Merrimack pursuant to RSA 32:95-E and Charter Article 8-15, and to authorize the town manager to sign any and all necessary paperwork.
That'd be RSA 31:95.
Did I mispronounce?
You said
Sorry.
32.
31:95-E.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good catch, Tom. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Motion by Andy, seconded by Nancy.
Is there any interest in trying to delay at least long enough for you to call Mike Wamsott, or is there a chance we could do something like that? I mean, how quickly do you need to call the vendor? He's due to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, or what?
Yes. We'll have to call him first thing. Well, actually, as soon as, after the vote, if that's the way it's go, I'll get in touch with the police department who scheduled it and have them reschedule. If that's how the council wants to do this.
I wouldn't mind
How-
a
how-
delay be
yeah,
put
I
into it.
wouldn't mind that, but
But there
how-
has to be a time
Exactly.
deliberate. And that would put a darn deliberate thing on,
But-
like
and
within
it's-
24 hours or 48 hours to get an answer, and they can go ahead and schedule it. So I wouldn't mind that as part of the amendment.
I would agree. I would happily do that amendment, but exactly how do we want it? We wanted a delay and conditional on an answer from DES or a suitable answer from DES? What if we get no response from
Well,
DES?
see, that to
And
me,
that's no response. and
Then that's no
would be a
response, and you go
cancel, I
ahead.
think, but.
but I understand your dilemma on how to articulate it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for is an amendment that everybody would be happy with.
Like a 48-hour delay? That's plenty of time to ask WIMSAT, get an answer, but you can go ahead and make the appointment for transfer?
If that's the case.
So the delay would be looking for an affirmative response from DES that the containers were properly mitigated to be clean of chemicals.
Or a non-answer?
Well, a non-answer would be not an affirmative answer, and so
Correct.
that would be,
So would that rule it out then?
that would rule it out, in
See,
my
to me, I
opinion.
don't agree with
Could,
that.
could,
Oh,
could
okay.
we say no sooner than the 30th of July? That's 2 business days, right? You also got the weekend in there, but that's 2 business days. And we say no sooner than that, assuming we don't receive any negative information from DES?
There you go.
Okay, what do you mean by negative?
Oh, that it
Well,
hasn't
that's
been
a- that's a-
tested and
that's a
they,
great question, Paul.
What happens if they say, we don't know if
know.
it's been tested or not? We haven't tested it. We haven't seen if it was been tested.
And
Does
we
that
have
mean
no-
no?
Quite honestly, I suspect if we do get an answer from DES, that's the answer we're gonna
I
get.
agree.
I
That,
think-
that's my fear.
And I just need to know if we get that answer, does that mean yes, go ahead with it, or no, don't go ahead with it?
Yeah.
So, see, there's just, I just need some direction.
I'm with you, and I'm trying to clarify it in a motion that we can vote up or down. I just don't know how to clarify it in the motion.
And I understand the delay, talking to Mike Winzak, that's fine. But what is the response that the best response from DES is, yes, they tested them, yes, there's no PFAS in there.
Right, but
That's the
not
best
gonna
response
be
we're
an
gonna get.
answer.
However, I think we're gonna get a response of
We don't
either,
know.
no, they didn't test them, or we don't know if they tested them or not.
I think if we were to receive that response from, that kind of response from DES, we wouldn't be in this position to begin with. But I don't think that's the DES that we're working with. That's my personal opinion.
So what would you say if they said, we don't know if it's been tested? What would your opinion be? We don't know. And we can't force them to, nor do we want to force them to test.
You know, at the end of the day, I think we're talking roughly a $6,000 donation by the time you figure we're moving these things versus what it would cost us to go buy it.
Yes.
Is the potential liability worth $6,000?
probably not.
Not in my opinion.
So,
So I would think the amendment would have to say that only upon an affirmative response from DES that they're confident they've been mitigated.
Yeah,
Not
that-
necessarily tested for PFAS, but they're confident they've been cleaned and they're okay to move.
That's a good way to put it, that they're confident that they've been mitigated. Do you feel comfortable with that, Andy?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. So the amendment
Does
would
that
be
help?
no earlier than the 30th of July and with affirmative from DES that these containers have been mitigated.
But is that based on a test that they know, or is that just based on a response from St. Gobain and that they know that it's been mitigated?
no, from
No,
DES.
Response from
DES.
DES.
From DES that.
And DS is gonna say, I don't know.
Well, then,
If
Then it's a
DES,
no.
yeah, what I would say is that anything that's being removed, that these items have met DES's requirements for mitigation. And so whatever those are, and we don't have to whatever. If
And if they
DES is
say, I
telling
don't
us,
know, if they say they don't know, then
Well,
that's
then-
considered a negative.
right,
Right.
would be
So-
for me. I just think there's a potential for liability. I don't know what it is. I'm not an attorney, but we've got enough, in my mind. If DES says to us that things have been properly mitigated, that's good enough for me,
Let
because
me
we're
ask a
taking that
question.
direction.
If they could verify that there were no chemicals ever put in there, would that be sufficient?
For me? No.
Okay.
Because we
How-
know the
how
whole
would they
exterior
verify
of
that?
this.
The reality is, the exterior to that storage thing has some PFAS in it because the roof has it.
But that could be, what I would like to see is, has that been cleaned? Just like one of the issues we had before was the roof. Yeah, so you can clean the inside of the building, but if that roof is still covered with PFAS,
Well, most of
Rain.
Litchfield would be covered in PFAS as
So-
well, so there's a lot of
so-
roofs that have to be mitigated.
right, but I just don't think that we need to be taking for me, I personally would want not to take on a responsibility for contaminating more other sites in our community when we're already a mess. And I don't know, I would not be comfortable with that. I would vote against that. But if DES,
So
Could say it
mitigation
met-
would be sufficient and that it was clean.
whatever if it met DES's requirements for mitigation, would be fine for that. Because then I feel like that's not us, that is our environmental services, whatever, agency for,
The
if they're
same
telling us
DES that we filed a lawsuit against at one point. That's the
Yeah,
DES
that
that we're gonna
Oh,
trust to,
Well, this is why I
Touche,
think
Andy.
everybody could write a little
I don't
letter.
trust DES. I just don't.
Well,
I don't either.
Indy, I understand.
Understand the concerns. Just understand that I do not have a comfortable feeling that DES is gonna say, yes, they've been mitigated. So I really don't, because I don't think DES knows if they have or haven't. They're gonna pick up the phone, they're gonna call Matt Reed, say, did you mitigate them? He's gonna say, yep, we mitigated them. We've asked for what they did with their wastewater and how they mitigated their wastewater. Ian down at wastewater asked for that, our pre-treatment environmentalist. We have to go on the portal to find out what happened, if it's up there or not. DS has not come back, and that's been gone now for over 30 to 45 days supposedly. So DS has not been upfront with us at all. I, for one way or the other, that's fine. If the council wants to vote yes or no on this, just, they're gonna go back to a vendor, and the vendor's gonna ship them someplace else. And he's not gonna clean them either. So I'm just saying. So if the council feels that they don't wanna, the liability for that $6,000, then I think that's the motion that Andy put forward, and, you know, it's either yes or no, and it'd be nice to have those, but if I have to go buy them, I go buy them.
All right,
So what's the final?
What's the motion?
What is the motion after all this?
I'll see if I can restate it here. Motion is to authorize the acceptance of a donation of 3 40-foot shipping containers and 2 20-foot shipping containers with an estimated value of $8,500 from St. Gobain Plastics no sooner than 30 July, with a confirmation from DES that the containers have been mitigated pursuant to, and this is all pursuant to RSA 31:95-E and Charter Article 8-15, and to authorize his town manager to sign any and all necessary paperwork.
I think, Andy, unless I misunderstood you, you said no sooner than the 30th?
30th
To
of
accept them
July.
no sooner than the 30th.
Oh, to accept them, no, okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I'll
very good.
concur with
And,
this.
and then that allows 48 hours for the town manager to contact DES and inquire whether they've been mitigated or not.
Okay.
And I second that change.
Or, excuse me, Counselor Murphy, I believe, has got contacts at DES, so maybe that's a better avenue.
All right. We
It's the
have a
best I
motion?
can do.
No,
No,
very
I
good,
think-
Andy, I
I
appreciate
think
it.
Can you fix DES?
So we have a motion by Andy, seconded by Nancy Harrington. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 7-0-0. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah. All right, next on the agenda, we have updates from our legislative delegation, and we have Maureen here, and Nancy, if she has anything as well. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Town Council. For the record, I am State Representative Maureen Mooney of Merrimack, here tonight to give a legislative update, along with Lieutenant Chris Wyman of the Merrimack Police Department. Excuse me, Fire Department. I did know that.
It was a test.
Lieutenant Chris Wyman of the Merrimack Fire Department. We're here to talk about one bill this evening, Senate Bill 352, an act establishing an early detection cancer screening pilot program for active and retired firefighters. The bill allocates up to $5 million from the general fund until fiscal year 2027 to offer any combination or one of the following for active and retired firefighters: a blood test, ultrasound of vital organs, and a lung CT. All testing is optional. Now, this bill came to Division 3 of House Finance, of which I'm the vice chairman, and Lieutenant Wyman of the Merrimack Fire Department testified in favor of the bill. During the hearing, it came to light that cancer caused 66% of career firefighter line of duty deaths from 2002 to 2019. Cancer caused 70% of line of duty deaths for career firefighters in 2016. And firefighters have a 9% higher risk of being diagnosed with cancer and a 14% higher risk of dying from cancer than the general U.S. population. Those statistics come from firefightercancersupport.org. firefightercancersupport.org. The Senate passed this bill 24-0, and the House passed it with amendment. In fact, the amendment came from Division 3 in House Finance, and I think we did a good job. It was a good amendment to enhance the bill. That passed through the House on a voice vote. It was signed by the governor on July 2nd, 2024. And as I said in Division 3 of House Finance, Senate Bill 352 serves those who serve us. Now, this bill has been featured on WMUR, and you may recall an iconic front page of the Union Leader dated July 3rd of the bill signing, featuring our own Lieutenant Wyman of the Merrimack Fire Department. So with that, I'll close my remarks, and I know that Lieutenant Wyman has much to say on the bill as well.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chris Wyman, Lieutenant with the Merrimack Fire Department. I've been on your fire department for close to 28 years now. One of the reasons why I became one of the, primary champions of this bill, not only for the fact that I'm the first vice president of the New Hampshire State Firemen's Association that represents approximately 3,600 firefighters, both career, call, and volunteer across the state, but also because of what I personally experienced over the last year and a half. Some of you knew my wife, some of you didn't. Lieutenant Jessica Wyman from the Nashua Fire Department. She was a 26-year member of the New Hampshire Fire Service. 10 of those years were right here in the town of Merrimack before she transferred to Nashua Fire. So on November 28th, 2023, my wife died from occupational lung cancer. And just yesterday, the governor and the commissioner of the Department of Safety confirmed that her death was in fact a line of duty death caused by occupational cancer. So I went 30 days shortly after my wife passed to start championing for this bill, and it's a bill that was long overdue. My wife, just like many firefighters throughout the state of New Hampshire, did exactly what they were supposed to do. They took care of themselves. They had their annual physicals that were required by their fire department every single year, just like we do here in Merrimack as well. All of our firefighters go through annual physicals. But those physicals didn't detect her cancer in its early stages. So those physicals didn't go far enough. So that's why a bill like this was so essential. And we got to start somewhere. That's why it's considered still a pilot program. Because we don't necessarily have the New Hampshire-specific data yet to say this is what we need to do for a permanent program, but it's definitely going to put a step in the right direction to do this. So it's a 2-year program that we supported. The legislature, I can't thank the state legislature enough. In my 33-year career in the fire service, 20 of it was with the state of New Hampshire, and at the State House champion of the legislation. I've never seen legislation actually get pushed through both the Senate and the House as quickly as this did, and with the support that it had, and especially from our Merrimack delegation. So not only Representative Mooney, but Representative Boyd, Representative Murphy, and a few others that not only supported it in committees, supported it on the floors, but also offered actual testimony in support of the bill. Representative Boyd did exactly that. So he wasn't able to physically attend one of the hearings, but he wrote his own testimony in support of the bill through his own personal experiences with cancer as well. So if you have any questions about the bill, I'm happy to answer them. But other than that, I just have felt it was worth our town hearing about it because it does impact close to home. So.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Nancy.
Yeah, I'd like to just thank both of you. This is such an important bill that should be, this bill should be in every state of the nation. I know Massachusetts, they hit a little bit of roadblock lately, but trying to do the same thing. Firefighters, our first responders are they're at risk from so many just occupational things due to the job. Never mind the gear we put them in, their protective gear that we know, PFAS is in their turnout gear. So they've got that, they've got smoke, they've got everything. So it's sad that it's taken this long, but this is a great start. It's something that we really need to support. And down the road, I'm hoping all our firefighters have PFAS-free gear when they decide that the gear is what they need. It's something I wholeheartedly support, is we need to protect, protect our firefighters. We have a lot of firefighters. Actually, I sit between two, and I sit in criminal justice and public safety, and I sit between two. We often talk about this, and it makes me happy to see attention finally being paid to this. But the latency period for cancer, very often, it just takes a long time for diagnoses to be made, and then to go through the rigmarole to prove that an illness, never mind a death, was related to an occupational exposure is just something that we already know. We already know. So to put families through this, to put firefighters through this, I think this is a step in the right direction, and I'm glad that the House and Senate and Governor agreed. So thank you, guys.
Nancy.
Just basically two things. One, I want to commend everybody for their efforts. And I also want to say to you, this is a testimony to the legacy of your wife. It's important.
Very good. Thanks, Nancy. All right. Thank you very much, Maureen. Chris, great to see you. Do well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, that was from Maureen, wasn't it? No. That's what this is. Yeah. So let me have him to read it. Nancy, do you have something further?
I do, thank you. I would just want to get it here. Wait a minute, sorry. As most of us know, we're back on sort of the PFAS issue. In 2023, I filed a bill that eventually came to Representative Mooney's committee, and we got it passed, and she shepherded it through the funding process. It was HB 614, and it was relative to the increased 42% higher rate of kidney cancer that we have in our community than other communities. And we've been saying this since 2016, that although the information we get is anecdotal, we felt strongly that the health issues that we're hearing about in this community are related to our PFAS contamination. So I worked with DHHS to file the bill to fund it's a phase 3 cancer incidence feasibility study. And what happened was the bill was absorbed into HB 2, right? It was, yep. And, right, so it was included in the budget bill. And it was a $500,000 appropriation to fund this kidney cancer study between Department of Health and Human Services and Dartmouth College. And that has actually started. And there's a number of committees, steering committees and whatever, and there's a community committee, and I sit on that, and Lorraine Allen sits on that. There's just about, 8 people, I think. And we've had 2 meetings thus far. The Dartmouth is trying to get the information out to the community. They've got it on social media. They put signs up at the library, I think the town hall as well. And they asked the other day if I could share, I have some cards, I think I'm gonna leave them at the town hall, and some papers too. They're trying to get input from residents, both people that have cancer and people that have not, so that they can look at the data and with the goal of determining what are the factors that are increasing Merrimack residents' risk to kidney cancer. So they asked that I share this information, and they've asked, as many are aware, in December, the Executive Council approved a contract between Department of Health and Human Services and Dartmouth College to support the next phase of an investigation into factors that may be impacting kidney cancer rates in Merrimack, New Hampshire. The core team working on this investigation is soliciting feedback from New Hampshire residents using a web form. Respondents can simply provide their thoughts or can sign up to participate in an upcoming community engagement studio, as that's what they're calling it. The study team has held 3 of our 4 planned community engagement studios, which are moderated discussions with patients or community members to gather input from relative to community concerns and improve the design, implementation, and recruitment of this research study. Studios offer researchers the opportunity to consult with the study population, us, to solicit feedback about community relevance and concerns. The last community engagement studio for this round is scheduled for August 7th, and selected participants can join by Zoom. So it's not a meeting anybody has to go to, you can do it. The information gathering process will rely on engagement with community members, both with and without kidney cancer, to solicit guidance on issues important to the local community. Recruitment and engagement of residents is critical to the research study's success. So I will leave these cards and information at the town hall, and I know Merrimack TV, I think, has something up, some information about this, and encourage anybody to please, we've fought long and hard to get this passed and to get the money to do it. So it'd be really helpful if Merrimack residents, reach out. And I understand we had a meeting this week about that, and I know they've got people, they said the age group is great, from 2 to 70, so they feel good about that they're reaching a cross-section of ages. But we, they would like some more participants. So August 7th would be the next Zoom. So anybody that's interested, I'd encourage you to do that. And then the only other thing that I would say is back to HB 1415. If that bill was signed by the governor, we would not have to be worrying about whether things were clean leaving St. Gobain, because the federal mandates would be in place. So it would eliminate that worry. We would know it wasn't just DES, it would be federal mandates. So write your letters to the governor, say please sign HB 1415. Thank you.
Why is he hesitating signing it?
Well, it's on his desk, because the Business Industry Association, they opposed it. And,
Because,
well, their membership, sometimes their members are polluters. And, so,
so it has more far-reaching effect than just St. Cobain. Okay,
if you're a
It's a
it would
general-
only affect facilities that have contaminated groundwater in excess of 100 parts per trillion.
Okay,
So
so
not a
any-
lot, but
any.
if you're a
I gotcha.
business and you want representation, the
Understood.
lobbyist would. But it's had great support from residents and the full House and Senate, so it's a, please sign, yeah.
All right, thanks, Nance. No other legislators, and we'll move on to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our media division, Merrimack TV, was recognized at the Alliance for Community Media with 3 awards at the National Conference in San Jose on June 26th. Media coordinator Nick LaValle attended these 4 days' worth of workshops in the Hometown Media Awards ceremony, where he accepted all 3 awards on behalf of the Merrimack TV staff and collaborators. These programs were evaluated by peers in the industry and chosen for some of the most creative content in the community TV in the country. Winning programs often address community needs, develop community involvement, challenge conventional commercial television formats, and move viewers to experience television in a different way. Displayed on the table to the right of Councilor Hunter, how to make sure it's to your right, are the 3 awards that we received. Merrimack Moment, we built that Stoll Road Bridge produced by Colin Marr with Bob Burley and Bob Lovering, 2 longtime employees of the Department of Public Works, for the best web-based series. Merrimack Moment, we built Team, produced by Grace LeMay with New Hampshire Robotics Chop Shop 166 for the best school and education program, and Merrimack Election Night Live, produced by Nicholas LaValle and Justin Slez and Colin Marr for the Democracy in Action program. These awards are not solely a win for our media division. Each award represents collaboration with community partners, town departments, and other relationships with Merrimack School District. We extend gratitude and congratulations to all involved in making Merrimack TV shine so bright and winning these awards. Once again, thank you and a great job to everybody involved. I have some good news. The Merrimack Fire Chief, Captain Gagny, and Lieutenant Apollo went to Pierce Manufacturing Plant last week for the final inspection of the aerial ladder truck. They spent 2 days going over the entire truck, reviewing all systems and quality of workmanship. They were also able to operate the pump system and aerial device. They found some issues for Pierce to correct and others that the local dealership will work on. The truck has since arrived at the dealership in Walpole, where it will undergo a full inspection and include fluid changes after the trip from the dealership. It will be there for a week or so and to go through the truck. When the truck is ready to be delivered, there will still be work for the town to do on the truck, like mounting the equipment and radio systems. Once the truck is complete at the dealership, we will provide an overview of operations of the truck, and Pierce will be sending out representatives to train the members on the operations of the truck. There will be certainly some time needed for the department to properly be trained and proficient in using this new truck, but it's been a long journey. The tunnel, we see the light at the end of the tunnel for this truck. It will hopefully be here and in operation by September 1st. That's the good news. Got some bad news, too.
I was gonna say that.
As you know, we ordered an ambulance. We were informed by AEV that the production of our ambulance will start in January of 2025. We ordered this ambulance earlier this year, so it's going to be almost 2 years before it gets into production. And then it's going to be late February or early March. What happened with this is that because of the ARPA money and all the funding that went into getting ambulances and emergency management vehicles during the COVID period, they got inundated with requests, and so they have limited the number of AEV bodies that will go to each dealership across the country. So not that one dealership is getting 500, another dealership's only getting 5. So they limited the numbers. And by limiting the numbers, the company we were using used to get 55. Now they're only getting 50. So that pushed us back to January 2025. So, but we did order the ambulance, and it's on its way. Hopefully sooner than later, they can move it up if things break. Want to also mention that the transfer station, the new office trailer, will be delivered on July 29th, which is Monday. Long time coming for the gentleman out there. They'll be disconnecting the scale, moving the old trailer out, bringing the new trailer in. What this means to residents is that on Tuesday the 30th and Wednesday the 31st of July, you will see a traffic pattern change for residents to be able to go to the transfer station, dump their trash. There'll be a new recycling center trailer that you'll be dumping your recycling in, and you'll be able to go to the brush pile. That's the only areas that you'll be allowed to go in the facility due to the amount of construction vehicles and the work that needs to be done on the new trailer. So the recycling center will be closed, however, we will have a trailer for your recyclables. We ask residents if they can, please wait till Thursday, August 1st, when we believe that the whole facility will be operational again. If you have anything that will need to go over the scale, whether you're a commercial vendor or a resident, we will not be using the scale because the scale will be disconnected and then have to be reconnected, and we figure it's going to take maybe a day or two to do that once the trailer is in place. We did not have a time for delivery yet on the 29th. All right, so it's going to come in at 7 a.m. However, they got to take the old trailer out, and yes, it still has its wheels underneath it. I don't know how good they are. They've been sitting for 20 years, but there's still wheels underneath there. And they have to there's a pole, so they have to kind of gently where the tongue is. I don't know, they're going to have a very expert driver to get it out. So, but once the new one's in, and then we can start reconnecting the electric and the scale and the computer equipment and the phone lines and things of that sort. So we're hoping that that gets done, but we'll be fully operational again on August 1st with our transfer station. We have put messages out to all the commercial haulers saying that we're closed those days. So if they have to go to another facility with their commercial trash. Pearson Road, we've been getting several phone calls about Pearson Road. There is a company that is starting to stockpile construction materials right near the pump station. That is all part of the St. Gobain water lines expansion project. They asked us if they could use that site to store some materials and store some of their trucks and things. We agreed. We gave them a very specific what they would have to do, where they could do it, so it's not going to be sprawled out. You're going to see the equipment. We marked it out with flags or stakes. We told them they have to remove the loom, put down hard base, so everything is there. So they are following those procedures with us, and they're hoping to start their project in the next week or so to expanding the water lines, not sewer lines, water lines for the St. Gobain, part of St. Gobain's water improvement to some of the wells that tested highly high. The last thing I have is also good news. It's been a long time coming.
I'm glad you're finishing with good.
The Sauhegan River Trail, it's a little long. My report's a little long this time, but it's been a month, so Sauhegan River Trail progress report. The trail is nearing completion. We estimate that there should be substantial completion on August 8th. They are making some really good progress this last week. I can't talk all of a sudden. For those that haven't been driven by the Watson Park lately, they ripped up their temporary road, and they're re-looming it and reseeding it. The fence is almost in, if not already 100% in. So the gate's in by coming off Watson Park to the trail. We're waiting on guardrails for the road, and we're waiting on railings for the bridge. Those are all supposed to be in the next week and installed. So we're hoping that by August 8th, everything will be installed. The handrails that are along the boardwalk are being fabricated and arriving on site this week. Guardrails along DW Highway, about 67 feet, were supposed to have arrived today. However, there's been another delay in their process because of guardrail components, so probably, we don't know when, but we're hoping soon. However, we can open up the trail without that and leave the cement barriers up there that really, those guardrails do not affect the trail itself. Once the handrail is in on the boardwalk, then we could open up the trail. And then new fence, some new fence last week, so the contractors installed along the site and the bank of the river, so we're good there. So we're moving forward with the project. It's coming to fruition. It's going to be completed. Dawn said that she's going to come back to the council when it's all completed with really good news, because there might be some savings from what she asked for.
It's very good news.
Might be.
Yeah, he's
So, and I'm holding it to that. So, but yeah, so
She
that
comes
project
back with
is
a quarter, it's your savings.
being completed, so. That is all that I have. Thank you for bearing with me. I know it was little bit long report this time, but there's really some really great things going on in Merrimack with Merrimack TV. The new trailer coming in. Some of the goals that the council has had in the past are starting to get ticked off, so, which is a good thing. So it takes some time, but they do get here.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We have no consent agenda, so item under old business is the council have a follow-up discussion with Paul regarding the West Road traffic and the ATV park.
Yes. With us tonight is a gentleman from New Hampshire, Right Riders. They asked, Roger walked the trail with Andy Finley and myself. We went out there about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right before July 4th. We walked the trail. They're here tonight to give a quick presentation to the council because a lot of the council members weren't on the council at the time when that was donated and given to the Right Riders to be able to improve and ride. Since then, it's known as the John Simeon Memorial ATV Park. Simeone, sorry. Park. And once they finish their presentation, I'll go over what was discussed and where we stand with some of the other issues that we had.
Great.
So, Roger and gentlemen?
Is there another chair? Hi, Roger. Good evening.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. Mike's on, Mike's
There
on,
you go.
okay, I should know that. I watched enough of these meetings. But anyway, yeah, thank you for inviting us here tonight. It was kind of prompted by Finley and Paul when we had the walkthrough that day to show them around. And, you know, I knew that Finley and Paul and Andy, they had never been out there beyond the track, so I thought it'd be a good idea to just show them around. And I know there's some potential problems out there that Paul wanted to address. So anyway, it was a good walk out there. But just a brief history of our club. What had happened back in 2005, that's when we started. And I don't know if Nancy or Tom, you were probably the only ones around back then.
The older ones, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it all started when,
That's why I shaved, you know, so.
yeah, you look different, yeah. Horse Hill Nature Preserve, it wasn't called that at the time. I started riding out there when I was 16 years old. I lived in Nashua, I grew up in Nashua, but I was able to take trails from my parents' house all the way up here to Merrimack to, we didn't call it Horse Hill back then, it was just the trails. But anyway, as time developed, I think Tamposi had owned that land, and it was up for sale, supposedly, and we knew it was potentially there would be houses there. So if you remember, I think it was Deb Huffman that was the promoter or whatever. She really got things going and got the town to buy that, so a lot of hard work on her part. So it was at that point that, and you know, again, it was being used for ATVs, dirt bikes, trucks, kids partying down there. I mean, it was mess, there's no doubt about it. It was messy down there. And then when the Conservation Commission took over the land, that's when we started having problems. They really didn't want us out there. I attended a lot of the conservation meetings, myself and a couple other guys, to hopefully stay on that land and keep using it. But it didn't work out. It was too much of a struggle. They kind of opposed it and everything. So it was at that point that we talked about the old lagoon site, which is what that used to be called. That's when they used to bring all the waste from the treatment plant over there. And they had mountains and mountains of that stuff. Long before we started as the club there, that, you know, people have been riding out there for a long, long time. So we approached the selectmen at the time. Dave McCray was the chairman. I think it was Betty Spence was the town manager. And she had dug up some old minutes of the meeting back from, I don't know, like the mid-'80s. That's actually when the club had started. There was a group that had started, again, had gone before the selectmen at the time to get permission to use that land. Then that group kind of dissolved. So that's when we, in 2005, said, okay, we'll get the club going again. And that was at the request of the selectmen that said, if you guys get yourself organized and form the club, you can have the land to use. So that's kind of how it started. And, yeah.
We could have already done this.
Yeah, well, we didn't
Roger.
introduce, Jake Thompson.
Yeah, I'm Jake Thompson. I
To
started,
my left.
I joined the club in 2005 and been kind of helping out Roger with various activities. So I've been pretty active, I think, over the last, 18 years, 17 years going, trying to do what I can to take care of the park and keep it organized as best that we can. And then about a couple of years ago, Mike had started helping us out. And we've actually, I think in the last 2 years, we've made a lot of nice improvements out there for what we can do.
Yep,
As far
I'm
as
Mike,
cleaning up.
Mike Simeone, the treasurer. I'm in charge of the funding for the park, at least on the small side. And I get a lot of people together. We had a group of maybe, 10 people out recently, weed whacking, mowing, and doing a lot of good work at the track. So I'm the brother of Jonathan, obviously, Simeone. Yeah, we're just doing our best to keep the place as nice as possible, clean, safe for families and everybody that from the town wants to ride there, so. All right, let's go past introductions. This is the location, as you all may know. It's before the transfer station. There's a dirt road on the left. That's the entrance to the park. You can kind of see toward the end of the road. The park, it's relatively good size. I don't think we've measured, is it maybe 2 miles, a mile, roughly? But it's really nice. It's good for families out there. Roger, if you want to go into how it all started.
Okay, yeah, these are some of the older pictures. Some of these kids now are grown up. Like that's Matt St. Laurent on the right there with the blue shirt and the orange shirt. And he's actually an expert rider in New England now. So that track helped him a lot to develop to the potential that he's got now. In fact, last weekend at a race down in Massachusetts, he finished like 7th. Everybody in New England. So he's doing really well. But again, a lot of it was, these are all volunteers. The equipment, I'm not sure that bulldozer might have been donated. And we had one member, Bob Geiger, he operated equipment for a living. So anytime we had equipment donated, he was the guy that could operate it. Again, just a lot of handwork. We had Jay McGrath. He's also a former New England professional motocross racer, and he kind of helped us lay out the track. Because we had about 25 acres there just of open land, and we wanted to utilize it in the best way, corners and jumps and everything. So he helped us lay it out at the beginning, and that's kind of how we started. Yeah. Newspaper articles. Brian Wood, president of New Hampshire Rotary, he's the one who had started it way before us. I couldn't remember his name a little bit earlier, but yeah, it was Brian Wood.
park related to you?
Yeah,
That was at one of the magazines. Yeah, who's that guy?
yeah. That was actually at the Winter Carnival at Washington Park. We had set up set up a little display there, yeah, yeah.
So that is Jonathan, who the park is memorialized after. Yeah, yep. So a lot of people know him. He had a lot of people behind him. A lot of friends. He passed away in 2010 from a motorcycle accident on the Everett Turnpike. So my mom did a really good job to get different benches around the town. Wilson Hill, his name is on Wilson Hill, so we cleaned that road up. The park here, I think down by the MYA where the river is, there's a bench with his name on it there. And then the ATV park here is the big memorial for him. And my mom thinks of this park as kind of his eternal playground because we used to love riding out there. And so we picture him riding there now.
Just on the upper right-hand corner of the picture, that kiosk, we had gotten a plan from DPW, that's pretty much a standard kiosk in all the parks. And my dad and I had built that, and we built it in pieces at his house and brought it over on a trailer. And DPW helped dig the holes and helped us put that in. So that was all, with our funds and our labor that was put in at the time.
Yeah, I think the town supplied the fencing and signage toward the front, right? Did they do that too? Or
Yeah,
did you guys do
the
it?
sign with your brother's name
Right,
on
in
it.
the
Yeah,
front,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. But the kiosk, we had done that with our
Nice,
funds.
thank you.
Yeah, from the club.
Yep.
Yeah. Good picture of your
Yep.
brother.
Yeah, I know. This is the article from the Nashville Telegraph when my mom met with Governor Lynch at the time to do the dedication ceremony for the park. That's just in there for.
Yeah, that was an awesome day. We had a lot of
it
of
was a
people
lot of
there.
people.
The governor, he didn't want to leave, but his driver said, "Governor, we gotta go."
Yeah, yeah, they had another meeting.
Yeah, that was really a nice day.
Yeah.
And when the town or DPW found out that the governor was coming, the road from Lawrence Road to the track was graded.
Yeah.
It was just as smooth as
Yeah.
it ever was.
Yeah, the parking lot was nice.
Yeah, they put a good effort into it.
Do you want to go on
Yeah,
this?
maybe
I
Jake
can
can
go. So-
explain this part, yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of how the park works. You have to be a resident of Merrimack, New Hampshire. That was kind of established back in the beginning. There's no guest riders or anything like that. You have to be from Merrimack. Hours of operations, they have, it's on the sign on the gate, but it's 10 to 7. It's Monday through Saturday. We're closed on Sundays. That's just to give everybody a break. I'd say a lot of people are really good. It's 7 o'clock. It's stopped. And most everybody is out of there. So that's been actually pretty well, going pretty well. All the maintenance, for the past, ever since we've been open, is mostly done by volunteers. The town has helped out with some of the mowing, and then also like spreading dirt for us and kind of doing a little bit of cleanup. But I'd say 90% of it is just done by the right riders. And what we really do is we put out a Facebook message or we'll put out a bunch of emails and say, hey, this night we're going to go out and bring a weed whacker or bring a rake or whatever you have, and let's clean up a little bit. And that seems to be kind of the best way that we found to do it. Let's see. And then as far as the, I left question marks in there, but.
Yeah, they are mowing the grass. Yeah, we have
You're supposed to answer that. But,
photo evidence.
and then it is gated. Between Mike, Roger, and myself, we take care of the gate. It's usually left open during the week, but on Saturday at 7 o'clock, we'll go in, lock the gate, so that way no one goes in there on a Sunday. And then Mike or myself will go in on Monday morning and then open it back up. If you want to go to the next one. We see the usage, it's kind of funny. Over the years, we've seen years where a lot of people will be out there. Certainly in COVID time, we saw a lot of usage, a lot of people using it because there was nothing else to do. So we had a little bit more work to do there. But on a Saturday, if the weather's decent, you can get 15 to 20 riders go out there during the day. You'll have people going out there during the week. A lot of what we see are families going out there, so mom and dad and kids. And what we see, it's kind of neat, is we'll see mom and dad will get a kid a dirt bike or a little four-wheeler, and they bring them out. And then a month later, you see dad getting a four-wheeler, and then mom, and then they're getting a trailer, and then it progresses. And some of these, yeah, it's awesome. And the nice part about this is you don't have to go all the way up north to find somewhere to ride. It's right in town. It's not intimidating. Everything in there is real, it's simple. It's a real basic park or trail or track, whatever you want to call it. And it's nice just because a lot of families use it. So that's one of the things that makes me really happy is seeing that.
Yeah, passing that generational riding down.
Yep.
It's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yep.
And, I mean, truly, we're the envy of many towns in this state that we have a park like this for the residents.
Yeah, all the neighboring towns are wishing they were Merrimack.
Yeah, we hear it from people
Yeah.
outside of town,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
There is, when I get on, we have a Facebook page. It's actually on the beginning of the slides, but I'll get 2 or 3 questions from people a year to say, how did you guys start that? How did you guys get into it? And it's, when this was first started, I mean, it was known all over New England that there was a town had a local, ATV park. And that it's pretty amazing. So, not quite as famous anymore,
Yeah,
but
over the years it
that's
kind of
okay.
fizzled away and was a little bit more hidden. So now we're making it nice.
And these are some pictures of some of the cleanup that we actually just did. So kind of on the left is just another random family out there riding, and then some of the other cleanup that we'll do. So when we can, usually in the beginning of the year and then towards the end, we'll get out and just basically groom it like you do to a ski slope, make everything smooth, take away some of the bigger rocks, and try to do as much mowing and just clean up as we can. And this is going to eventually go into what Paul was talking about. Some of the challenges that we face are people from out of town coming in and using it. In COVID time, that was pretty tough because just the park is on different riding websites like riderplanet.com. I mean, if you Google it, places to ride New Hampshire, this will pop up. We don't have any control over that, but the last few years has been very few out-of-towners. I mean, once in a while, we'll see someone. What we do is, if Roger's going over to the transfer station, myself or Mike, we stop in, and you can kind of tell. We look for dump stickers or we look for whatever, and you can kind of tell if someone's from out of town, and you just say, hey, you're really not supposed to be here. We do have signs on the access road that says Merrimack residents only. I think there's 2 signs on the road. There's one on the gate, and there's one on the kiosk. But then if you ask somebody, they'll say, oh, we didn't see the signs, so. Yeah, and that's okay. I understand what they're trying to do. So lately, I'd say over the last couple of years, that really hasn't been a problem. Riding on West Road, which is the access road, that's something that we wish we could have a little bit better control of. I believe we've ordered signs to say, that we're going to put something in there to say if you're leaving, it's just 08, or it's highway vehicles only. I forgot what we had, but we have
it
something.
says police take notice, no riding on the access road.
All right.
If you're plated and you're a legal motorcycle, that's different because you can ride on any road. So, but yeah.
And then the other part that and it really hasn't been an issue lately, but it's just after hours. So it closes at 7. We don't have an attendant or anything there. It's just really if we do have cameras, so we can kind of look at 7:15 or so, or whatever it happens to be, and we see someone out there, we'll run out and remind them. And people they forget, or they don't pay attention to the time or whatever, and we'll just remind them that they got to be done at 7 o'clock. But that's really, this year has only happened a couple of times, and people have ridden after hours. And we haven't had any issues, I think, in the last couple of years with people being out there on a Sunday.
No,
I don't think.
No, we close it up. So
yeah.
Pretty good there.
And that's that's some of the issues we faced. The nice part about it is just like I said, it's it is unique, and it's amazing that it's there, and we can go and just go use it, and anybody from Merrimack can go use it.
Do you want to do me a favor, go back to your brother's sign real quick?
Sure. That one.
Yes. So the bottom is where the sign is.
Yep.
The sign right now is outside the gate.
Yep.
We are going to be moving that sign because if you look, if people don't really realize what's there, if you look at the sign, you think the ATV park goes up West Road. So we think that by moving that sign, if you can go up a few more slides. The other way, sorry, the other way. Keep going. Oh, right there. One more.
That one?
No, keep
Oh,
going.
Sorry.
Right there. So at the beginning of the ATV park, where you see that on the bottom left, where that
Yeah.
rock is,
Yeah,
we're
here.
gonna put the sign there.
Okay.
Because that is the ATV park. So it's gonna
Oh,
bring
gotcha.
people into the gated area, and then it's gonna show them that that's where the ATV park is. So we're gonna move that sign. We think by moving that sign, the confusion will be going away. People can say, well, I thought the park was up this road because of the way the sign is. As well as what they are doing with their signage, we're gonna be posting West Road as, and that's in your packet as well. If you look, we're gonna be posting it to basically state that, the second page of this is saying that it's a Class 6 road, it's a town road, it's not maintained by law, gave the RSA, no OHRVs allowed, off-highway recreational vehicles, subject to gates and bars if the council decides at a later date they want to put gates and bars, so we don't have to change the signs. But we're ordering 3 of those signs. One to be put where the sign was, as that part of West Road, the other one off of West Road, when you come in off of Bean Road, West Road, there, we're gonna put one there, and where the middle, there's the old pit,
Yep.
the old sand pit, there was a little area there where we're gonna put another one, where most of the tires were. We're gonna put another sign there. Those are the 3 areas that we're putting the sign in for West Road. The other thing is when talking to Roger, how this track, if you can do the overview of the track again, please?
I think it was.
Right there.
Yeah, it's kind
As if you see some of this, some of the back section of the track kind of does actually blend into the landfill. We've talked to Roger a little bit, and they are okay with changing the way that trail goes, so it doesn't run along the side of the landfill where people say, oh, look at all that great open space over there. Let me take a right and go up into that area. They're gonna kind of, right off you get off the track, there's a wooded area and the fence to the closed landfill. They're gonna start a trail and make the trail go up to the left and then around to stay away from the landfill. And then we are going to be putting in signs as well when that happens, is that we're gonna be putting in these signs and we're ordering them. And it's gonna be Town of Merrimack Solid Waste Restricted Access Authorized Person Only. And those are the signs that are in the packet that we're gonna be putting up along the side of the landfill, along that old trail head, so that people realize that this is a restricted area, to keep the individuals off. I don't want to say what was happening. There were a couple of 4-wheelers up there. I don't know if the 4-wheelers took the trail and just said, I don't know where I'm going, let me turn around. Oh, look, there's a trail, instead of going back the way we came, because that was a pretty rough trail. It's coming up, go, oh, there's a road, so let's go up the road and drive back along the road to get back to the ATV park. We have seen motorcycles that have gone up, I don't think they've been up there recently. They seem like they're old tracks, but once again, I think if we close that off and the right riders put the trail and make that go left, and we can close it off with a sign, I think that will stop people from going into the closed landfill, which was the other problem we had. So we believe by putting in 3 or 4 of these signs all along that area, as well as labeling West Road with the other signage that we're looking at, and moving the ATV park, John's sign, into the ATV park itself, that should help with some of this confusion of where the ATV park is and riding it. I know that the membership for the Right Riders is the 3 of them are here, and they got a couple more members that are there. So, but they do police themselves pretty well, like they said. It was funny. We were leaving, and I stopped, and Finley was talking to Roger, and I looked up and said, "There's a camera right there." And Roger goes, "Oh yeah, that we check. We check to make sure people are out of here or whatever. And if they come and they close it, and if the gate, we got a phone call. Hey, it's Monday at 9 o'clock. How come the gate's not open?" We call them up, and they go down and open up the gate for them, and they make sure it's locked up on a Saturday night. So they've been really responsible for it. They have asked the town for a little bit of help financially to get some equipment in there to keep the track safe, and we are working to get them their funding that they need, and it's mostly for a gentleman to come in there with a piece of equipment to help them out a little bit that they can't, they need equipment to do,
Right, yeah.
so.
The signage, there was no signage there, so, you know, an honest person could seriously accidentally fall upon this and see it as a normal thing. There was no signage at the end of the fence. And so the landfill, the cap landfill was protected by a fence to a point, and then the trail continued by it, so no one would know. The other sign at the front that you spoke to, Paul, was very obviously leading people down, innocently down West Road. And so those things, will take care of that. I don't know if you were gonna block that sand pit area, if you're gonna block that entrance.
We already blocked that
Oh,
sand
you
pit
did?
area
Okay,
with
yeah.
rocks. There are rocks there now, so if you're on West Road, you can't go into that sand pit
Yeah.
area. It's filled in.
Which is part of the town.
Town property. The other thing is that, yes, there were a lot of tires there. There were over almost 70 tires. And we took them out, and we took the couch out, and we took the TV out, and we took the other couch out, and we got, it was funny, they took the oldest 1-ton dump truck the highway could get and went down that road just in case something would happen to it. And they got all this stuff out of it. As we were walking it with Roger the other day, we found 3 more tires.
Yeah.
But they weren't like they were just put there. Those tires were there for a long time. And I think the tires that we pulled out of there were there for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, but the track and the back end, there's some rocks that they put up so that people don't leave the park to go to that old sand pit and the wetlands off of West Road. So,
The only thing, I don't know if you can change your signage
we
here,
can.
but.
We haven't ordered these yet. We want to bring them forward to the council to
Sure.
get their opinion on these signs.
I thought so, but
Yes.
I'd really like to see an enunciation of the penalty. I mean, because nobody's gonna take the time to go to the RSA, but if you tell them it's $1,000 potential, or it's a federal offense for encroaching on a closed landfill like that, that I'd rather,
Yep, Dawn's shaking
so
her
that
head.
there's
We
no
can get it in
doubt
there.
about what the consequence could be.
Dawn's shaking her head, so yeah, we can get it there.
Nancy?
Yeah, I agree. And the only other thing that thought might be helpful is to indicate something about no illegal dumping or something, so that, I mean, those tires are true, they've been there for a long time, but, is there a way we could put something on there so that, I mean, it should be obvious, certainly.
I think there's
But-
a sign on the dirt road in that says no
Yeah,
dumping.
no dumping.
Yeah.
We want to be able to put it on this one. We'd have to get another sign to put it on. Because we really want to bring their attention to this. And then on each side of West Road, we can put something of no dumping. We really didn't see any dumping on either side of West Road as you came in off of Bean Road for dumping. There was more in the old pit, sand pit area. And then the other side, where you came in from John Sign, I took my truck through it, and it was, at one point Sharon said, "I'm not pushing if you get stuck."
Yeah, that's deep.
So, you know, well, Sharon and I took the trail to see what would happen, you know, the work that DPW did, and Finley and I and Don did it another time. So to get in there, it's a mud pit a little bit, so somebody going in there to dump, and they can't just dump and reverse out. They have to drive all the way through, and I drove the road, and it's not a great road to drive in a vehicle, if you like your vehicle. Even if you had, 36 Super Swampers on your truck, it's not you know, there's rocks and things where you could really damage your vehicle with it. And it's tight, it's tight.
The debris that we saw was old.
Yes, they
It
were
was-
old.
It was pretty old stuff. There was really nothing new there as far as,
But we can put up, we have no illegal dumping signs around that we can put up in there too, if we have
No,
those.
Sure.
True,
We have cameras.
there you go,
We'll see them.
yeah.
Yours was
Yeah.
the second one we found.
Yeah.
Anybody have any?
No, I will just say, I think this is a great solution. Really two concerns going in here is the folks that live along West Road. Nobody wants a 2-stroke ripping through their backyard on a Saturday evening. And I think these changes with the signs and the entrance sign and these signs will help keep the honest riders honest that don't know that they're riding where they shouldn't be.
Sure.
And then obviously the second concern was the landfill. And I think changing that trail so it doesn't go and make it very inviting to go to the landfill will be a good change.
Yep.
Nancy?
I just have a question that I've always wondered, how did the Wright Riders get their name? I've heard it a million times, but I never knew where the name came from.
I don't know. Again, that
Maybe
was,
it's in the article.
yeah, that was Brian Woods, back many years before us.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. If you could dig up those old meeting minutes, you'd probably find out why, but it was a long time ago.
Well, let her
I-
do that.
All right, Tom?
Because we
So
do
I
the
just
right
want to
thing.
thank you guys for your presentation. It's great to see you again, to hear more about how the park has developed over the years. Nancy and I were here back in that
Okay, you remember that,
original
yeah,
time.
yeah,
and
wow, long
I was
time.
there at that opening with the governor and folks, and
Oh, yes.
I was happy to be a part of that
Mm.
on the outside. Never done any off-road riding, but it is good that you guys are still active and working on it. And as we said back then, as long as you're willing to maintain it
That's right.
and keep up the work on it, we're happy to have you
Right.
have that opportunity.
Good. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And I think that works. It's looking great. And just realize that you've got neighbors to deal with and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah,
That's all
Yeah.
part of life in the city.
right, yeah. And we are grateful for the funds that we'll get this year to do some grading. Yeah, that helps us out a lot.
Okay. Anything further? All right.
What I need from the council is I need you to look at the two signs that we put in your packet there. And just, I don't need a motion, but I need basically head bobs one way or the other if you're in agreement with the language or if you would like something else.
Well, I saw just with the added
That's
emphasis
right.
on the
Yeah.
penalty.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very clear. That's all I'd like to see.
And they're gonna be 1.5 by 2 is the sign that we're putting on West Road. And then we're putting up 2 by 3 signs, about 2 by 4? 3 by 4. 3 by 4 signs that basically say, hey,
can't say they
you're
can't
in,
see it.
you can't say, I didn't see it when you're riding your bike. And we're gonna put them along the areas
Is
where
there
we've seen
blinking
people
lights
actually try to
pointing
get
to
out
them?
into the landfill. One of them, we're gonna put by the bees. So people, if they're out there riding their dirt bike on that section, can't say, well, there's bees there, we can ride around. No, they protected landfill there as well. And so we're gonna put these signs, and they're gonna be noticeable. They're not, and we're gonna maintain them. When we were out there, it's funny, I found the old, you're on a protected landfill sign, and it was covered with
Overgrowth.
overgrowth, a lot of overgrowth. It was that,
He's the only one walked out to it. It's on the
yeah.
far side where nobody
Right.
comes in from.
I saw a post, and I'm like, what's that post doing? I could just barely see the top, and I walked over there, and it was, all that knotweed was all growing up around it. That-
Interesting.
Yeah, so there are some signs that were put up when they closed it, so we found it, and we kind of modeled these signs, but ours will be bigger. That one was a small one, so. All right, so with that one change, we're good to
Is
go?
everybody good with that?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you,
you-
gentlemen.
Thanks for
I'm sure
addressing
you
the
guys are okay
concerns.
if we move the John
Yeah.
sign
Yeah.
into the park, because really, that is the park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right there,
Definitely.
that entrance is his entrance.
Right.
So
So is
people really, I think, will be showing you're in John's Park.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
Is
We
that sign
appreciate
gonna
you.
still be near the kiosk, or are they
The
still
kiosk is
associated?
inside as well, inside the gate. The sign will be going more towards,
Toward the right of the kiosk.
more right towards the kiosk, more towards, oh, you can go back to the other one?
Yeah, I was going here. It's
Yeah.
gonna be where this area is.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
grassy
right in
area.
there. So, and the kiosk will be
is
off
like
to the
over
left.
here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be the kiosk and that, and the rules are on the sign as you come in too.
Mhm.
Closes at 7, there's signs on the,
Yeah.
on the fence, on the gate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the parking lot. if you want.
Yeah.
That's the parking lot right there where you see them. And the gentleman walking away from us, that's the entrance to the track,
Oh, okay.
technically. That's where the loop begins.
So we're gonna put the sign right in that area.
Cool.
Off to the left a little bit because, a little grassy area right there.
Yep.
That would look nice.
Very good.
Thank you.
Roger, Jake, and Michael, thank you for
Yeah.
coming this evening. We
Thank you.
appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
It's a pleasure. Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Okay. I'll wait for Nance. All right. First item under new business, the council to consider the recommendation of appointing Aaron Clement as a trustee member to fill the open seat, a library trustee member to fill the open seat of Jennifer in accordance with RSA 202-A:10 and Charter Article 6-2B.
The library trustee, Jen Jobin, apologizes that she's going to make it tonight. However, not Jen,
You mean Deb?
Aaron Clement?
Deb Colville. Jen Jobin's here. So I'm looking at Jen and saying that, because it's Jen's position they're filling. Deb Colville, sorry, Deb.
Going back in time.
Going back in time. It's been a long week, I'm sorry. Deb Colville apologizes for not being here. However, she did mention to me that Aaron Clement is an alternate already at the, for the library trustees. So no?
She's not, no.
I was told that. Go ahead, Jen, I'll keep quiet now.
So there is an alternate. She, sounds like she chose not to apply. But this is somebody who's very active with the library, her family, her kids are very active with the library.
I'm having a hard time hearing. I don't know if you had your mic on.
It is on, yep. I think she's got to learn to be a little louder.
So
like some of us.
Erin is very active in the library. She's very active in the town. She sits on a couple MVD board. I believe she sits on another Merrimack board as well in the town. She's active with her kids at the library, Jen said. So I was told that she was an alternate. I guess she's not the alternate. However, she understands and wants to volunteer. And they think she'd be a very good fit for the library board of trustees.
This is an appointment until next year's election?
No, no, but that's what I thought. I was corrected today by Becky. She pointed out in the charter that it is until the end of the term. Surprising, but that is it. So it's till
Yeah, but
26.
26, and that's what the charter says.
Yeah. So, yeah, I told Becky she was mistaken. I had to each row
She corrected you
corrected.
that you were mistaken.
with bold yellow on the paragraph. So, what is the pleasure of the council?
Move to appoint Aaron Clement as a to fill the open seat on the library trustees.
Second?
Motion by Tom King, seconded by Jennifer. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 700. Thank you. Item 2 under new business, the council to consider the request for permission for the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department and the University of New Hampshire to access town-owned land, which is Wasserman Park and Wildcat Falls and Greater Woods, to conduct a collaborative research project which entails live trapping fishers and equipping them with GPS collars.
So they came to me about a month ago and asked if they could do this. And I gave them permission to do it. However, I thought it'd be good for the council to hear what's going on and the townspeople to hear what's going on. Because if they're out in the trails at Greater Woods or in Wasserman Park or at Wildcat Falls and they see these traps, we're not trapping to relocate and kill. We're trapping so that they can, the University of New Hampshire, the study can actually track the migration of these fishers around and see their migration patterns and where they walk and you know, kind of like bears, suppose we do a 5-mile loop, they stay within, they want to see what these fishers do.
They found one in my backyard
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, I had one in my front yard. So, but, so they asked if they could do this, so they're gonna live trap, GPS them, and then release them back in the wild. So it's not like they're trapping them to kill them for their pelts or whatever fishers have. It's for a research project. But I just wanted people to know and the council to know that that's there. Technically, I didn't really have the authority to do it, but the timeline that they needed to start doing this project was, we didn't have a meeting. So the council still needs to vote to approve that they can do this project
Just gonna be-
on town.
It's kind of a
Oh,
housekeeping.
you're here to speak?
Yes,
Oh, come on up to the mic. I'm sorry.
my colleague Frick was the one who emailed you. He was unfortunately unable to make it today, so he asked me to show up.
Oh,
today and
wonderful.
answer any questions.
I apologize.
Perfect.
I didn't know you were here.
See, we thought we had a citizen here.
I did.
We should have known better.
Sorry, I didn't quite understand how all this works. This is my first
That's
town
okay.
council
Oh, no.
meeting.
Well, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Will Crispin. I'm a research scientist with the University of New Hampshire's Wildlife Management and Modeling Lab. I'm one of the people that was hired to work on this project. And as he was saying, the project is to hopefully color, we're aiming for 100 fisher cats throughout the entire state of New Hampshire. We are starting our efforts in the southeast. Our three objectives of this study are to get survival rates for fishers. Currently, we don't have any good estimates for survival rates of fisher cats in the state. And the second objective is to get causes of mortality, the major causes of mortality for fisher cats, and anything that could be potential health concerns for them. We also don't have that information for fisher cats in the state. The third one is to the third objective is to get habitat use and dispersal. That's a great thing that you can get with GPS data as we monitor them. We'll be able to see what areas they like to use the most. Hopefully it's all to get more information for this species so that we can inform better management decisions going on in the future if they need to be made.
Great. Thank you, Jen.
Can you just talk a little bit about how you know there's a fisher in the trap and how quickly you get to it? So people in the public, if they see one in there, they're not concerned that it's stuck in there for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah. So our SOP, we're basing it off of a SOP of researchers in Rhode Island, Connecticut who have done similar projects. Traps will be set in the evening, and will be checked at first light in the morning. As soon as we can access those areas, they'll be checked. We also have cellular cameras that we can check remotely as night goes on. They can be set up in front of each camera so that if there is a suspected catch, we can pull that up whenever we would need to. So yeah, those are the most active time for fishers, so that is the most beneficial time for us to have those traps. So we do not want traps, traps should not be unchecked for more than 10 to 12 hours. So evening to morning is our a hard timeline.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything further? Nancy?
Do you ever have cases where the public don't understand and will close the trap for you?
I have never done trapping work before. I've worked with fishers. My previous work with fishers has been finding scat. I'm kind of a glorified pooper scooper, graduating to more glorious work. I've helped work with the lab I work for. They have cameras set up. They have another project that they've worked with New Hampshire Fish and Game. We have 300 cameras set up throughout the whole state to basically get an idea of general fur barrel dispersal across the state. And these three properties are places that we've gotten permission to set up those cameras, and these three cameras have gotten fishers, which is why we wanted to trap here. But I've helped check those 300 cameras, which is quite a process for all of us at the lab. And even though we have a bunch of writings on it saying that this is a research camera, sometimes people do think the worst as soon as they see them and take them down or
That's
pop
what
the
I was
SD
curious
card out
about.
and stuff like that. The traps, we are gonna have a laminated sign on the front of the traps saying that is a research project. It'll have all of our contact information. Trapping laws in New Hampshire also require a more permanent fixed metal tag that'll have all that contact information too. Those tend to be harder to see because you kind of have to fix them in a different spot, and it's just a metal tag with stamping or engraving on it, so it's not very visible, which is why we want that laminated tag.
That's an excellent, because that's what I was going to suggest, is you put a little sign or something.
Yeah.
If people understand, then they're not going to try to save the animal.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not really important, but I'm just curious, how do you tag them?
We'll sedate them. We have a vet was hired full-time for this job, for this project. So the fishers will be sedated. Then they will get an ear tag. It's a non-corrosive metal ear tag with a numbering system on it. They'll get an ear tag. There'll be a pit tag, kind of like the microchip that your dogs get. And then they'll get a collar, GPS collar as well, and there'll be all the identifying markers that we'll have for the individuals that we catch.
Because I know they're nasty little creatures.
Yeah, mustelids are, they're quite energetic.
Spoken like a true scientist.
Yeah.
All righty. What do we think?
So you just need an official
I just need an
permission.
official permission for this.
So what's the timing involved, or length of time that you're gonna be doing this? Is it just this summer, or just August, or just July, or?
Our primary trapping season will follow actual trapping seasons, which is like December through January. We are also trying to get some summer trapping like we are doing now. Just 100 individuals is our goal, and that is kind of an ambitious goal, but that will give us the best data. So we are trying for summer trapping as well. We were hoping to start at the end of this month through August, but we are still waiting on our collars. They're taking longer to get into us than we had hoped, so our timeline is pushed back a little bit. But we're still hoping to start trapping in August. We're gonna start at the properties nearest UNH just to make sure our SOP is down tight and we like everything about it, even though we are building it off of people who have done this several times before. Situation is never quite the same as Rhode Island or Connecticut, so I wanna make sure it's as perfect as possible. When we start trapping in any one location, our plan is to go no longer than 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks from the people who have done this before have said that's about as much time as you want to spend in any one location for a trap set.
Are you planning to then move around different places at these different locations?
Yeah, so we'll start nearest Durham and spread out, starting in the southeast. This is about almost as far west as our current section is. It's a 3-year project, so our next area is hopefully the southwestern part of the state, then moving north from there.
I guess my question came across wrong.
Oh, sorry.
You specified 3 places here, Wasserman Park, Greater Woods, and whatnot. Are you gonna stay in those areas and move around to different places, or just in any given area, stay for 3 weeks?
We're gonna do probably one location in each of those areas, because those properties aren't really big enough to set up multiple trap lines. And another thing is we want to stay a good distance away from surrounding residencies or trails and stuff to hopefully minimize public interaction, but also to increase trap success. All that stuff seems to be less advantageous for trap success. So with the amount of trails that are on those properties, we really only have limited locations to set up a trap set. So it will probably be 2 to 3 weeks per property, one trap set there for 2 to 3 weeks, and then move to the next one and the next one.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I guess what I was wanting to get at, and you told me, it's not gonna be like 10 or 15 locations at each location.
No, yeah, it'll be multiple
Perfect.
traps. That'll depend on the size of the property, and like how much distance we have in between trails and residencies. So
Okay.
Amount of traps set out will vary based on that.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically permission for me to sign any agreements to be able to trap on our property, please.
We need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, so a motion would be to allow the University of New Hampshire Fisher Project to be able to trap on Wasserman Park, Wildcat Falls, and Greater Woods, to conduct collaborative research project that entails live trapping of fishers and equipping them with GPS collars, and to have the town manager sign any and all necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
I think that was Andy and Nancy Murphy. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained, 700. Thank you, Will, for coming. I didn't realize you were here to do this.
No
so,
problem. Thank you all very much. Sorry
Thank
for
you.
awkwardly sitting back there.
Thanks for bailing me out.
Thank you again.
Enjoy the evening.
So you know not to volunteer for the future.
He's the really charismatic one. He's like, "You want to do this?" It's like, "I'll help you out, buddy."
You did fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Third item under new business, the council to consider the amendments of the Flood Hazard Conservation District, Section 2.02.8 of the Town of Merrimack zoning ordinance and building code, as suggested by the State of New Hampshire Office of Planning and Development, in order to maintain compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program requirements pursuant to Charter Article 5. This is a first reading, and
Robert and Casey are here to go over the first read and explain why we're here with this changes?
He looks thrilled.
I did request to be first, yeah.
At least we have cushions on the seats since you have to wait this long.
I said it's a good experience to see how the council interacts, since this is your first
I
time.
just think you could be a Boy Scout having to sit here for 90 minutes for a merit badge. The poor kids.
So, hi, everyone. I do trust that you do have in your packets, I imagine, a copy of the
Yes.
draft amendments that we're talking about. So these were provided by the New Hampshire Department of Planning and Economic Development, and whatever they're calling themselves these days. Basically, the whole idea of this is to maintain compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. That's really it. We've got an ordinance in place. It's got some outdated references. So they went through, they gave us amendments to the zoning ordinance language. They also gave us suggested amendments to the site plan regulation language and the subdivision regulations, which will be coming in the near future for the planning board. Excuse me. So as we mentioned earlier, this is the Flood Hazard Conservation District Ordinance. It's section 2.02.8. Again, it's largely clerical stuff. There's some formatting and numbering corrections, terminology and reference updates, minor stuff like that. The biggest changes, there are a couple of new terms and definitions that are being added, one for base flood elevation and one for flood opening. And the other big change is there's a complete rewrite for a definition for substantial improvement. Basically, and the other change was they added language to an existing paragraph in there regarding recreational vehicles that are placed in flood zones A or AE. So basically, I don't really plan to go through them in depth, considering they're all clerical. I'll just try to respond to questions if you have them. Otherwise, I may have to take those questions that you have and pose them to the state to see if there's anything that I can't answer. But the anticipated schedule for this is we're doing the first reading here tonight. Excuse me, tonight. August 15th, we'll do the second reading and public hearing, and then September 12th is what we're targeting for the third reading and adoption of the amendment language. So your options, we're obviously recommending to vote to schedule the public hearing on August 15th. If you choose to adopt after that third reading on September 12th, that would be obviously ideal. Or you could choose not to adopt, vote to deny the changes, and then allow us to go back to the planning board to go back to that process. Really would start with the state and then go back to the planning board for a public hearing and kind of bring things back here afterwards. But that's really all I have. So what specific questions?
So
if any?
Robert, just so everybody's understands that the state came in, gave these recommendations to you, and then you brought them to the planning board. This has already been approved by the planning board.
Yes.
What the council is seeing in their packets is what was been approved by the planning board for this ordinance.
Correct.
And you have made the changes the way that we're supposed to make the changes. Basically, so that if the council does not move this forward or wants other changes, will this affect our homeowners that are in those floodplains?
I don't have a specific answer, but I suspect yes, because the whole driving force behind this is that it would allow the town's ordinance to stay in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. If these changes aren't made, as minor as they are, I suspect there would be issues with homeowners' flood insurance.
Just a curiosity for the sake of the audience. Who or what is the National Flood Insurance Program?
It's something that's put in place through FEMA to basically, if your homes are in a designated flood zone, they require flood insurance. It's all handled through your mortgages and things like that. It's one of those things where if your community is not a part of the National Flood Insurance Program, in other words, having accepted language like this, which I think pretty much every town in the state has something like this in place, then you're ineligible to obtain the flood insurance.
And you need to get flood insurance, you need to be on the National Flood Insurance Registry has maps, and you need to be inside that map to be able to get flood insurance. And that's the additional flood insurance.
And the insurance is coming from the United States government through FEMA? Or
There is some that you do, for instance, believe it or not, my home is in the flood insurance plan. And if my home gets flooded, the highway's flooded. So, but to get the insurance through my insurer, it has to be in that plan, and they say, do you have flood insurance? And if you do not accept the flood insurance through your provider, if you're in the flood plain, then if you get flooded, your insurance company can say, sorry, and FEMA can say, sorry. You have to have this insurance, and it's basically backed by the federal government, so to speak.
Okay.
Right. You get it through your private homeowner's
Yeah, private,
insurance,
but it's
all right.
it's in some fashion backed by the
federal
Federal
government,
government.
because they set where the flood plains are based on a 100-year flood, 500-year flood, 1,000-year flood.
Noah's flood.
Does this, do these changes that are being recommended have any greater effect on a larger percent of the town, or are
No,
there any potential negative impacts to residents?
These don't change any designated areas. That's done through the federal flood mapping. Right now, we're currently on a 2009 mapping. They are working on updating those maps, but we still don't have a target release for those. I think it was last year they released a draft, but we still haven't been given a timetable as to when a final updated 24 or 25 map would be issued. These change, again, these are just generic definition, changing 100-year flood to base flood, and updating terminology to what's more accepted today versus the outdated language.
All right, Nancy?
So fundamentally, the language that's in here is from the state, and it's to be in compliance with the federal flood.
Yes.
So it's really a compliance kind of ordinance
Yes.
that we need to do.
100%.
And I certainly don't have the knowledge to question the language. I would talk to the state first, since they're the ones who designed it, so I think it's like a housekeeping, in my opinion.
Basically, which is why I didn't really offer much of a presentation, because nor am I that
We
qualified.
appreciate that, too. Okay, so you
Have
just,
anything further from Bob?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? What's the pleasure?
so it needs to go to the,
Move it to the second reading, public hearing.
Is that a so
The
moved?
proposed amendments to the Flood Hazard Conservation District ordinance should be moved to the second hearing,
second.
public
Yep,
hearing.
no, very good, thank you, Tom.
Second reading,
Motion by
public
Tom
opinion.
Kenny, seconded by Nancy Harrington. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained, 700. So we'll see you on the 15th.
Perfect. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you now.
And I appreciate you not having to read the whole thing to us.
Next on the agenda is the June 27th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I didn't see, did you see? Did you see anything?
I don't have any.
Not
Okay, I'd
yet.
like to make
Take
a
care.
motion to approve the minutes of, town council minutes of Thursday, June 27th, as presented.
Motion by Nancy
Second.
Harrington, seconded by Nancy Murphy.
Oh.
Sorry, Tom. Thank you, though. With no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the meeting minutes of June 27th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 700. Comments from the press? Seeing none. Comments from the public? Seeing none. Comments from the council? Seeing
I
none.
just want to say, I know that Paul has missed us, and you'll have to miss us another month.
It's only 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, 3 weeks, there you go.
We are working hard on the audit, to get for the audit. That's where I've been spending a lot of my time, is in finance. So if I'm not in my office when you call, just ask, and the ladies know where to find me. But I've been spending a lot of time with the finance staff to make sure that they're up and running for the
This will
audit.
be a first audit, right?
It's kind of a
Here.
weird year for it. Paul's been through audits before, but it's been such a choppy year with Tom leaving after the first quarter and then Adam here until February and then Paul coming in March. So it's been a choppy year. So I'm just trying to help the staff along with reconciliations and trying to explain how to do things so that they can do them in the future. But that's where I've been spending a lot of my time, over in finance lately.
Things are looking good, right?
We're moving forward and it's finding some stuff.
Talk
and,
about a non-committal answer.
what we're finding is nothing that can't be fixed. It's just a lot of things and
Methodology. kind of.
methodology and, you know, there's been a couple different go-rounds with it and, just explaining to Paul what this is for and how to do certain things and what we need and what we're looking for and, you know, how we do things here versus how they used to do things in Milford, which is a little different, and Nashwa's a little different, so
Sure.
just trying to catch them up to speed, but there's nothing that we've found that's been so heartbreaking that I say, okay, goodbye.
You don't have heartburn.
They don't have heartburn just yet. Ask me when the auditors are here. But no, so
No,
I just
very
wanted
good.
to inform the council on that.
Great.
Excellent.
Thanks, Paul. Nothing further? Motion by Tom,
Second?
seconded by Jennifer. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700. Thank you, everybody.
I know you want.